Friends, how are you doing? Happy short week again. Yeah, I love. Isn't it funny? People like, oh, I love Labor Day weekend or Memorial Day. People just get these things messed up all the time. It is, it's that 3 day weekend, right, where we all just go, yes, exhale and inhale, and hopefully you're around pine trees and clean water, and yeah, what a privilege. Honestly, what a privilege it is if you are in spaces where you can just bathe, bathe in the beauty. And not to say, anything within the city doesn't have those opportunities, but wow, when we're in it, sometimes we just have to get out of it, don't we? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, different tempo altogether, and just places where you can stop and just take a peek at a bug, you know, a flower, a sunset, whatever it happens to be, because most of us are just running at just blistering speed and it's not that we don't have time, it's that we are just that focused. I get it. I get it. So I hope you had a wonderful long weekend, and yeah, in memoriam of all of those that fought to the death for us. And what an appropriate foundation for the work that we do out of LOVE. Not a squishy word, folks. It is fighting word. We love others as others, because we are so in love with our mission. And I know that it's just getting harder and harder. Um, the politic of the work is beyond our control. I'm not going to say it's beyond our influence. I've actually just been in love with a number of leaders that are helping to reshape the interference within the system. I'll just call it the interference. Right? It's done wisely. It's done with a great deal of prudence. It's done with patience. It's done with temperance. Sometimes we just got to bite the tongue. And folks, can I say this? And just realize that sometimes the person on the other side of you, or the people on the other side of you, just are underdeveloped. That's a good way to have empathy and not just searing, um, just rage about some of the things that are just crossing the lines. Absolutely just crossing the lines. If we can look at it in the right context, in the right situations, and go, well, I guess you're just underdeveloped, and timing is everything. As we would a child, with much of the child likeness that is happening. Not all the good things from children. Anyways, I'll flip the channels here pretty soon, but that all of that kind of congealed into a big fat thank you for the work that you're doing. And like I do every week in the live, I'm coming at you with a challenge. Okay, a big honkin' challenge. Yes, not a BHAG. That one's already been taken, but just a big honkin' challenge. Run a word cloud on the stated values. I actually did this and you can use AI to just make it even more fun. 500 K-12 and higher ed institutions right now. Just run a word cloud. What are their stated values? For those that have them, I mean, if you have them, congratulations. Today, it's for those that have them that might want to just take another look at them with prudence, with patience, with an understanding of perhaps we were underdeveloped when we accepted these. Yeah. So go ahead, right? I'll wait for this thing to happen. Yeah, I don't even know if they're doing wordles or word clouds anymore, but here's what you're going to get. Actually, here it is. That's what you're going to get. And I'm not incriminating anybody. I hope I'm not stepping on I'm not hearing any ouches out there. Those that listen in, are pretty mature and secure. But my guess is you can point to one or two of these words and say, yeah, that's in our front lobby. Yeah, that's on our webpage. Integrity, respect, excellence, innovation, equity, community, probably collaboration. I missed a few of the common words that we would see in our value statement. But I think they're probably the 6 or 7 most expensive words in educational leadership. And I'm not because they cost anything to claim. I would say expensive because they prove nothing when violated. Did that's did that hit? Yeah, it's expensive because they prove nothing when they're violated. Yeah, you don't have values. Most institutions have wallpaper, beautiful, professionally. Community engagement helped to pull all this together. Designed well, consensus approved. It's wallpaper. It's decor, and I can prove it with one question. You ready? Here's your challenging moment for the week. When was the last time your stated values actually cost somebody something real? Not a performance conversation, not an awkward pause in a hiring debrief. I'm talking about an actual consequence, right? A hire that you didn't make, or a promotion that was just delayed a tish, right? Or a departure you initiated because someone violated the culture, not the metrics, the culture. They're different. One's more about IQ, the other one's more about culture. Take a moment, search your memory. Yeah, that was below the belt, Joe. If you're struggling to name the instance, I back in the day would as well. Not because it was just so long ago, but because it genuinely hasn't happened. And you're among a herd of people. You're not alone. You're allowed to feel maybe even some discomfort right now. And maybe to shut your eyes and go, you know what? When we put this together, I was kind of thinking maybe we should level it up, but I was only 2 years in and I didn't. I get it. I get it. Every leader I work with has walked through this exact audit and arrived at the same really uncomfortable number: zero. That is the number, a big old fat goose egg. But I think what zero actually means, and it's not what you think. So let me unpack this. Okay, here's what's happening in your institution right now. Your best people, your highest capacity people, the ones with options, right? The ones whose departure would absolutely just be a sucker punch, sting. It would sting. They figured out that your values architecture probably faster than you did. Okay. Um, they're not disengaged. They're in this, I would call a values triage. It's sorting that signal from performance, deciding probably how much of themselves to invest in a culture they can't yet verify is very real, or it's just like every other culture out there. Across the nearly 1,000 leadership teams that we've surveyed, the person who most visibly undermines the stated culture keeps getting promoted. That's not a rare occurrence, folks. The underperformer gets promoted. And I'm not talking underperformer up here. I'm talking underperformer here. Yeah, wearing the team jersey. They're wearing their jersey, and oftentimes they're promoted. And your team doesn't conclude that that your values were ambiguous. They conclude that values were more like theater. It's like, yeah, nice, pretty, but not practical. And they adapt. They become rational, efficient, quietly. The system that actually exists, not the ones on the wall. I watched a superintendent. I will just call her Sandra. I spent 2 days with her cabinet doing a values refresh, complete with post-it notes and the sticky dots, facilitated process, color-coded stuff, enthusiastic nodding, good lunch. Beautiful final document. hmm 6 months later, the person who'd been eroding trust in every room that they entered, that person got promoted to chief of staff because the metrics were really clean. That's what we're talking about here. 3 of Sandra's best people updated their LinkedIn within 60 days. And you saw the taillights just slowly crawl out of the parking lot. Sandra didn't have a talent problem. She had an architectural problem, wearing the name of a values problem. That's really what this was all about. This isn't a character indictment. Absolutely not. I own this for a period in my life. It's a structural pattern. And I wish I would have had this opportunity to hear me today 20 years ago. Yeah, it's structural. It's not part of the human system. It's predictable. It's measurable. It's fixable if you're willing to see it. So here's a breakthrough framework that I just want to share with you. We'll talk. It's load bearing. Okay, Miss Becky and I are doing a lot of work on the cabin right now. The load bearing walls are the ones that, if you mess with those, there's going to be consequence, and not the good kind, the bad kind. Yeah. So those load bearing values, what they actually look like within 3 organizations, 3 mechanisms with 0 ambiguity. And some of these might be a little bit outdated, but they're profound. Netflix is one of them. Okay. Yeah. Each of us every week probably has some connection, right? But one line in Netflix values, published, public, viewed 20 million times. Adequate performance gets a generous severance package. Much of that created the cancel average movement that many of you have seen the t-shirts, but yeah, adequate performance, average performance gets a generous severance package. Like, we're going to give you the boot if you are average. It's not a philosophy. Again, that's architecture. That's competencies. Those are standards, right? So Netflix built a keeper test. Okay, it's like your capture rate, but on the inside. I think one question that every leader must ask regularly: if this person told me they were leaving for a comparable role elsewhere, would I fight really hard to keep them? It's a fair question. Or would you kind of throw a pizza party? Yeah. If the answer is no, Netflix doesn't wait for performance to deteriorate. They open the seat, right? So the question for your cabinet: would you fight hard to keep every direct report? I dare you to spend some time on the drive home tonight just writing down, who would I fight hard to keep on my team? And if it's not everybody, average performance gets a generous severance package. Yeah. At Netflix, that answer has a documented consequence. And most institutions, it's just a thought that happens maybe on that drive home. I challenge you. Don't just agree with this. Act upon it. And I know we are in a season of transition right now. So even more so is the time not to walk around that, but to walk through it. The second one is Southwest Airlines. Okay. They receive job applications every 2 seconds. Right? They hire fewer than 2%. Before any skills assessment, before any single credential is reviewed, they screen for 3 things. First is the warrior spirit. Second is the servant's heart. And the third is this thing called fun-loving attitude. And you either have all 3 or you do not. Okay. It's observable in a group interview how much you treat the receptionist when you think no one's watching. Yeah, and here's a move that most institutions are just going to chip right over. All three values appear in annual performance reviews. Not just what you produce, but how you produce it. You can train someone to load a plane, folks, right? But you cannot train a cultural misfit into a performer. It's impossible. So do your stated values appear in your hiring rubric? It's a fair question. Your performance evaluation, your promotion criteria. Where are your values? If the answer is all three is just no, nada. You built values for the lobby, for the web page, not your performance. The third is Patagonia, and it's one of my favorite clothing companies. If you own three, that's all you need, right? This was Black Friday back in 2011. Highest revenue retail day for any retailer out there. Patagonia ran a full-page ad in the New York Times that said, "Don't buy this jacket." Well, obviously, that's like, don't think about white bear dancing right now. Yeah, the ad details that exact environment, that cost of producing their best-selling jacket. Then they ask the consumers to think before buying anything new. Revenue grew by, I think it was 30% in the next 9 months that followed. Not because the ad was clever, it was, because these people recognize something really, really rare, an organization that actually means what they say. I think the only thing rarer than an organization that means what it says is the person who doesn't notice when one finally shows up, right? The question for your institution, for your cabinet, for your team, would you take the institution equivalent of that position, right? A costly public stand in an environment, just an inconvenient moment because your values demanded it. Here are the stakes, and we'll wrap up. Here's the cost of just staying in the Décor model of values. And I just kind of wince every time I, take on a new client and I say, "Hey, share with me," that mission statement is usually pretty prevalent. And then we talk about where they're going in terms of vision. And then I will ask them for their values. And I would say less than, no, I'm not even going to take a guess. Not enough. I'm just going to say not enough can come up with their value statements because they're just non-existent. Yeah. And your best people, the ones doing values triage right now, they're making a decision about you this week, not next year, this week. And here's what they're deciding, because this is that transition year. You don't think that many people think, "Whew, I dodged another bullet. I got through the hiring." You know what? This is the hottest market right now, in education right now. So what kind of culture is attracting your talent and keeping your best ones? Yeah. Here's what your best people are deciding right now. I think, is this a culture I can trust with my full effort? Because everybody wants to be on a winning team. Most people want to be on a winning team. And those that don't would rather be playing video games in their mom's basement. And they're not the people that you need on your team anyways. But yeah, most people just, I want to be part of a winning team. And that will multiply and kind of see my potential and put it to the test. Or is this a culture where I protect myself from staying slightly detached? That one is probably too common, too often. When your cabinet can't tell the difference between a value and maybe a caption statement, who pays the price? It rhymes with students. Yeah, that's the reality. They experience a system built by adults who couldn't align on what actually matters. And it's a wound within our system that perpetuates the brokenness of the system. That's a reality. Builders don't post values, and we need more builders. What they do, they engineer them into the decisions that are hardest to make. You can smell values. It's just the water that we swim in. Right? The average superintendent influences like 50 leaders. The average campus president, the same. Those 50 leaders influence 1,000 staff, faculty, teachers, and those teachers shape tens of thousands of students. But values without consequences are just wishes. And wishes with that professional design treatment, you know what I'm talking about? A strategic plan section and lobby frame. You have the architecture to change that. Starting with, I'm going to say these 3 moves this week. Move 1, let's do this. Run the Wordle test. For each stated value within your organization, ask yourself, would this word appear in the top 10 of educational leadership word clouds, Wordles, right? If yes, you have caption and a culture. Then name that specific instance within the last 18 months when that value costs something actually real. Can't name it? It's decor. It's pretty, not practical. Second move, just pull up last year's hiring rubric and find the section where your values appear. If there's no section, you've already answered the audit. We'll move on. If there is a section, ask whether it ever changed an outcome. Was it the tiebreaker? Was it the maker? If it exists but has never eliminated a finalist, you don't have a rubric. You have a documented strategy. And then the last one, and we'll everybody gets to go to recess here. In your next interview, ask one behavioral question tied to a specific value that you hold. Right? Not, do you believe in integrity? Obviously, no. But tell me about a position you held that really cost you something professionally. And what did you do? And listen for whether the answer reflects the value or performs it. You know the difference. Once you can hear that difference, you can't unhear the difference. So if you want to go deeper, if you're ready to build, not just climb or dream, build the architecture that makes your values load-bearing instead of decorative. This isn't about strategic planning. I'm just going to pitch 2 things, and they're not pitches. I'm going to offer you to think about 2 things, 2 ways to go further. The first is the Team Institute. It's an 8-session, actually 9, because we do a discovery phase with all of your leaders that transforms your values from decor and the decision architecture at the cabinet level. And it cascades it across the entirety of the organization through common tools, common language, common methodology. Yeah. Increased performance without the burnout. How about that? If you want to learn more, you know where to find me. The other one is just, let's talk about your values over a virtual coffee. Sometimes values it's kind of a tricky topic to get into because your board adopted them, your community loves them, but they're not doing anything for you. I have some ideas of how you can leverage your existing values to actually move towards behavioral characteristics that can move from just observation into accountability. So I'll keep it at that. But if you want to do that, we can actually talk over a virtual coffee. I do these every single day. Had 2 of them today with smart and humble and really hungry leaders working through exactly this stuff. It's no pitch. It's just a real conversation about what you're building. I've had the great fortune of just working alongside so many incredibly humble and hungry and smart leaders. And I'd be really, really happy to just share some of the things that I know that are working for them. Much of it we've stolen, right? And just made it part of our operating system for building healthy teams and highly reliable systems. So freely give, freely receive, all of that. So yeah, let's you know where to get a hold of me. We can do a virtual coffee here together. Next week, I'm not even sure what my topic is next week. So why don't you go ahead and put in the comment there, maybe a topic that been scratching my head over this one. I would love to put it to the test. Give me a topic that's hot and that is worthy of a little live stream for next week. But until that time, keep your dukes up. Enjoy this short week. Mark the moments that are just needing to be marked right now, and let's get this party started. It's almost summertime, folks. Peace. You know you are loved because of the work that you do. Take care.